If the women move forward, the whole community will move forward. That's what my today's guest believe in. She's a phenomenal person, extremely inspirational, gender equality advocate, vocal about women's rights. I would like to welcome Sultana Jahangir in my Let's Talk show.
Good morning, Ekta. How are you?
Good morning, Sultana. Thank you for coming up on my show.
And a special thanks to you and all the community who are inviting me to join with you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Sultana, Canada is a welfare country and labor market plays here a very important role. Then how do you fit in between labor market and staffing agencies here and at the same time helping women get their rights at workplace?
I just want to tell you that when the staffing agency between the employer and the worker, there will never be the established the human rights or women rights in the workplace, because a staffing agency is an anti-social for-profit body, and it is grinding the workers' life and making a very slavery labor market where we cannot see any kind of dignity for the people, and we cannot see any kind of human right code or fair labor practices, law practices by the staffing agency. So our request is, we do not need this body between the employer and the worker. Employer can directly hire the people. If they need to hire more people, they can depend on government's hiring agency rather than going to this anti-social staffing agency. So my request is, like, the government eliminate them, stop them, or restrict them, or imposing some kind of special policy so they cannot violate the workers' right. So that will be the solution. If we want, the women has to get the dignity and fair practices, fair labor law in the workplace. Definitely we need to stop the staffing agency, restrict the temporary help agencies work of operation in our whole country. Thank you.
Thank you so much on that. That was very well explained. What are some of the issues that immigrant women face at workplace like?
The workplace, first they face it that through the staffing agency, when they get hired, most of the time they find it out that their payment get stolen by them. Might be they work 10 hours, they get payment 27 hours. Sometimes they find it out that they cannot prove this hour, and when they got any kind of injury in workplace, their total right for accessing that WSIB is denied with the worker staffing agency. And staffing is hire a big labor pool, but assign them when the work is available. So people has to live in a on-call work arrangement. No hours will going to be provide them. And also, like, the government employer totally deny the benefit of these workers. Like when they are getting laid off, they are accessing the EI. So then at that time, staffing agency and employer play a very critical role to deny the EI, deny the maternity, and deny all the other work-related social benefit that the women are eligible and entitled for these things.
There are a lot of stories shared by women on your website about the bad experiences, like what you are telling here. How do these vulnerable women reach out to you?
SAWRO is a community-based, totally women-led organization, and these are the racialized women, those who led the organization. Since 2007, when we started in our community, first things we start the door knocking to reach the people and talk to them, build the trust. Since 2007 to right now, we did lots of work to breaking the isolation, women empowerment, and is also the girls empowerment. And that create a family and sisterhood ambience for us, so that any times women feel any kind of problem, they feel like, okay, I can easily call SAWRO and SAWRO could support us, at least defend their rights. So people, that's why come to us, and we have continue lots of peer worker are working in different building, each of the building. If any newcomer come, our peer worker reach their door, knocking them, make them warm to come in outside, and also connect with the organization. This is the policy we are using to bring the people on our table.
This is something really unusual and a lot of hard work involved. You're going door to door, getting connected with those women, and yourself approaching them and offering help. That's indeed incredible. I'm very delighted to hear. I'm very happy that you're doing such a wonderful work. How do you
Thank
increase the participation of women in Canadian economics and political life?
we should encourage the women to come outside, breaking the isolation and strengthening them so they can feel it to come outside. And you know that all the cultural background people are doing lots of cultural activity. That is the one platform that all isolated women, immigrant women, are come out. And this cultural platform should has to be a space for social inclusion in Canadian society and Canadian market and Canadian environment. So these are the things we should do more in the community. Only the ethno-based organization like SAWRO, like other organization in different ethno group, they have the trust, and that's why people can come out. So strengthening this ethno-based organization capacity to hold the community and support them, to support the community will be the solution to bring out all the women out and all the isolated people out, so they can contribute in Canadian society. They will going to be contribute in Canadian society as soon they find a place, so nobody will be the burden for the society.
Very well said. Uh, I have a question in my mind. Is it only related to the workplace that you offer help to them, or the women who are going through a lot of atrocities with their intimate partner? Do they also reach you, or are they also catered with your organization?
SAWRO is try to provide the holistic approach to support the women's for all of their needs. It's the sisterhood ambience. Like women come to us when they have any kind of problem, even though like domestic violence or the intimate partnership influence, they come to us, they talk with us. We try to support them to, professional support, and also we do counseling. We work with them and support them to get independent and financial independent, so they can have a voice in the family. Because we find it out that South Asian community, that we most of the person who are coming from our country kind of bring the patriarchal society model, but when we
Yes.
come in here, we find it out that existing model do not have any value in Canadian society. So people need lots of support to come out. These things, we create a conveyor belt to support the communities women to get connected with the mainstream people. And also we feel it like only the economical freedom can support the women to have a voice in the family. So we support the women to get the job that they immediately qualify for, and that bring the agency in their home, so then they can bring their voice in the table. We find it out, if you have to dig up your husband pocket for $2, then you don't have any voice in the family. So we want that women should has to be independent, and we want Canadian government support, everybody support, let the women free from all of this economical burden, so then they can have a voice. They can say no to the violence, because still right now we find it out women cannot do these things because they don't know where they should go. They still need a lot of support. And also there is a society taboo that creating that, okay, if you are out of this family or broken the family, then you do not have any value. So we have to come out from this thing, and hopefully our next generation will going to stand up for this thing. But we need lots of education, lots of rolling in the community, so then we can say that there will be no violence, we're going to be accepted in the society. And one more thing is in here, all community has violence, it is not cultural driven, because we find it out every year more than 300,000 people in Canada get affected by the violence. There might be the indigenous people, there might be the other. So like this is not a cultural phenomena. We feel it like that every culture has these things, but some cultures stand up and build the community together to defend the rights of the women. That is the need for the South Asian community right now, to come together and defend the rights of the women by supporting these women to stand on their own feet. Thank you, Ekta.
Wonderful. You are simply amazing. Okay, how are you helping women in this COVID-19 time?
Okay, COVID-19 is a kind of eye-opening situation for us. Before the COVID-19 SAWRO continue fight for the gender equality in the society, women advancement in the society. We find it out that before the pandemic, our South Asian group are 64% behind the Canadian-born women, while whole immigrant women are 11% behind the Canadian-born women through all of the way, like in the labor market participation, in the economic participation. And we find it out the racialized women are under the poverty. So all of this underlying health condition, underlying economic condition revealed in the COVID-19 pandemic time. When the COVID-19 is coming, we try to bring as much information as possible to community to provide them to stand and access the support that the government provided. We also advocating for the people to get the universal benefit for everyone, but we find it out that government, all of this support they provided, CRB and other, everything is excluded a group of people, or more than 30% people are getting excluded, especially non-status refugee women, students are totally excluded. But COVID will not going to be accepted, not to go the place where there is a possibility to get infection. So all our support that a government provided has lots of crack, and people fall through the crack. And most of the people are heated in the manufacturing sector, retail sector, where 90% women are working. And out of this 90%, 90% is the racialized immigrant women, those who came in this country. So these women forced to go to the workplace, and we find it out that government do not recognize them as a frontline worker, and still they are working with the 1425, which is under the poverty line, and it is not reaching our living wage. So we find it out that there is no incentive coming for the people who take at risk to go to the work, feed us, support us, and not increasing their minimum wage. And our minimum was 1425 is under the poverty guideline. We see right now the America, they are increasing the minimum was $15. So in Canada, our minimum wage should has to be $22, because $14, if you work in a whole week, you cannot bring more than $2,000 in a house. And one bedroom apartment is totally 1700 without your any kind of utility bill and others. So how the people are going to survive in here? To empower the women, to support the women, we have to alleviate the platform. That is like we have to increase our minimum wage to meet the living cost, and we have to increase the full benefit in the low wage sector job, precarious sector job, and make it more stable. Then the women will move forward, and then the women will feel that they can bring enough money in the house to feed the family member. We demand Canadian standard life for everyone, and that means 8 hours work, enough money we are going to bring home and feed our family, pay our rent. So these are the things. During the COVID-19 times, we provided lots of aid in the communities, people supporting them to get the mask, and also support them to get all the protective measurement, and provide information, and ongoing supporting them to talk to this in our us to minimize the panic and frustration. We find it out in this time domestic violence escalated a very severe way. People all stay in the home, intergenerational conflict is coming, husband-wife conflict is coming, and we try to continue support the community to calm down, because there is no way we can expose our outburst right now, because that will going to give a possibility for help get the virus affected with us. We also see that the community contamination is coming from the workplace contamination, because lots of manufacturing sector, we find it out that COVID-19 is infected the people, and people come in the community. We defend the South Asian community when the government officials said, because we are doing lots of party, and also that's why our infection rate is higher than any other ethnic group, because we find it out intergenerational housing condition for South Asian community is because we are poor. Our young generation does not have any capacity to go and live by themselves, because they don't have money, they don't rent an apartment, so we have to live in the house. And we also try to continue lobbying to the government to support our senior to get the vaccination as early as possible, because we find it out government is covering the long-term care in senior, but there is 70% senior living in the community, those who did not go to the long-term care, especially the South Asian senior. They are not capable or not afforded to go to the long-term care. So they are in the community, they are living with us, and there is a huge possibility that this group will going to be affected by the coronavirus. So we want all of us to work together to support our community, so we can defend our rights, we can defend our senior, we can defend our vulnerable people, those who has underlying condition, to get the vaccination so fast. We have a new Facebook live will coming in January 31st, where I'm going to talk with the vaccine needs, and we're going to educate the people, so then everyone will going to be ready as soon the mass vaccination will going to be happen in the community. And we urge the government that do not try to make hesitation right now. Invest whole amount of money and invest all effort to bring as much vaccine as possible in Canada to vaccinate the people, so we can minimize the death that we are finding right now.
I am so touched by your humanity, Sultana. You're such a wonderful person, and you're really doing a very great job in the community. One last question to you. Is
Okay.
SAWRO only catching a particular South Asian community, or the doors are open to other communities as well?
We are opening our door from beginning for everyone, even though like our name is South Asian Women's Rights Organization, but we also support other ethno-based group. We have lots of Ethiopian group, we have lots of other Iranian group, those who are coming to access the services to us. We do lots of cultural event. When before the pandemic, where other cultural group come and do the presentation with us, and we really feel it that every community's women are at risk right now. Women has lots of unfunded liability. We are underemployment, that is the root cause of our problem. And we also feel that lots of systemic barrier holding us not to get the total human right in Canada. One of them are childcare. Even though like government always said that, this government recently said that they will going to implement the universal childcare, but we did not see still that the ball is rolling. Last 50 years, people are fighting for universal childcare that could help the women to come out and think about their profession, and that is not happening still in Canada, where Canada demand that we have all the women's right and gender equality in here. We want the real solution. We want the government should have to take immediate action to eliminate all the systemic barrier that affect the racialized women and not accessing the full participation in Canadian society.
That was Sultana Jahangir,
Thank you,
community
Ekta.
leader, very
I,
good spokesperson, very vocal about women's right in the community, and advocate for gender equality. That was a pleasure talking to you, Sultana. Thank you so much for coming on my show and sharing all this information with people watching our show and others who will be watching up later on. It was wonderful to have you on my show. You have a very good day and stay
I
safe.
have only one message to the community, that
Yes.
we said if the women move forward, the whole community will move forward.
Yes.
And as a woman, I also request Ekta and other community, everyone, please come forward and defend the worker rights and fight for the living ways, fight for the women rights, so then we can establish the right for the most disadvantaged group of the women's in Canada, so we all can find it out that we have equality in here. And status of the women does not mean the status of those rich and the CEO women. Status of the women means every woman in Canada, even though including all this racialized and disadvantaged women, everybody's status. So let's march together to bring the justice and equality in the society for the women, all women. Thank you, Ekta.
Thank you so much, Sultana. You're very well said. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a nice Sunday. Bye bye.
Bye. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.